Gray Lightfoot, so my apologies.
That's not
Gray.
nice.
Gray is, well, I'd like to describe him as a performance bus driver, because his bus driving and his performance poetry are so interlinked. The bus driving is so much of his poetic inspiration, and Gray performed for us at Tell Tales at Penzance Literary Festival last year, and everybody thought he was wonderful, and there were requests that we must ensure that he returned again. So here he is. So over to you, Gray Lightfoot.
Hi there. Right, well, fortunately this first poem isn't nothing to do with bus driving. Yeah, usually people sort of who know me sort of know that I do things, you know, to make you laugh really. But I'm airing my gothic sensibility here with these two poems, Going Underground, a bit of Edgar Allan poetry as I call it. This first one is called Reincarnations, and it's my sort of rant about I don't like to see flowers all over the sort of funeral, you know, shrines and things like that. You know, I appreciate it. You know, it's different for people. And don't get me started on Princess Diana's funeral. So this is called Reincarnations. When did it start, this floral arrangement? Where will it end, this obsession of ours? To mark the sight of someone's passing and smother it with shop-bought flowers. Saying farewell to the Princess of Wales, consider the lilies and roses spent, dead within days and costing the earth, all for a nation's weird lament. Overindulgence, floral abundance, such passion on show like a Pharisee. See me weep as I rain carnations, and watch me grieving on live TV. Another kid killed on a sink estate, only a rose in a garden of thorns, garlands left as the neighbourhood watch, this the way a community mourns. A show of flowers on a turd-worn verge, their floral tribute displayed before her, gives no succour to the victim's mum, but their shed loads for interflora. A wayside shrine means a death on the road, vivid reminders that all of us die. See how slyly they self-seed themselves, hoping to catch their next victim's eye. Deaths on the rise on the roads of this land, and the shrines take up more and more room. How many deaths will an A-road need for an entry in Britain in bloom? And what about those who meet their demise in a place where some flowers just won't do? Where do you start to lay down a wreath? Among the pansies at B&Q. When it's my time to push up the daisies, if my soul survives incineration, when I'm done with kicking the bouquet, I'm hoping for reincarnation. May this karmic state give me the vision to let me see the wood for the forest, so that next time round I will come back as a serial killing florist. This next poem is about bus driving. The two things, you probably don't know this, the two things that bus drivers really hate, and I've researched this among my colleagues and that. One of them is when you're driving, coming up to a bus stop, people go. Now, if you ask them the time, they won't know. All they're doing is they're telling you that they know that you were late. And the other thing is holding your stick up. Surely an arm's good enough, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway. Right. Going underground, I was sort of stuck for an idea for this. I wrote this eventually. I thought, going underground, I can get something to make people smile out of that. But anyway, I imagined myself in my coffin, and the laughs just came from that. Coupled with the idea I had for a headstone, which you'll see at the end. And the last thing that sort of spurred me on was I was on my own one night and I watched The Seventh Seal, which I was sort of a bit disappointed because I thought it was about Greek. Right, so this is it's called The Last Bus and Death Shall Have No Dominoes. Underground now in a wooden box instead of above in one of metal and glass. The absence of a door of any kind at least allows me to rest in peace. At least that mantra of the bus driving fraternity, an empty bus is a happy one. It may be wide of the mark in this case, as I find myself incarcerated in this receptacle for used tickets only. Ignoring the small brass turning handle that hangs above me like that Greek fella's sword. I seek the periscope to look upstairs, but its absence confirms what I already know. My last vehicle is a single decker. Just me, my timetable and duty board, the latter in truth a laminated sheet of A4 that sets out my journey, my final journey. It is blank. What was it brought me here? One of those days, I'm late for everyone else's important date. At the next stop, a man in black, one arm gauntleted in an aluminium crutch, looks somewhat theatrically at his watch. He takes no notice of the time, as his dumb show is for my benefit. Me, the one who is in thrall of the large digital clock on my ticket machine, he wants me to know that he knows I am late. The great metal crutch scythes out into the road, arcing like a crusader's longsword, into the fray, ready for conflict. Clearly it requires substantially more than just an arm in this instance. There with blade and timepiece he clutches in the white crab's-legged fingers of his hand his concessionary pass like a small shield. Drawbridge down. He mounts the bus and draws up terms for my surrender. You, not even a sir here, are late. As if I didn't know. The clock on the machine, remember? I tell him that I am far from happy about it myself. I'm late for me. My journey home to wife and family will be, what's the word, later. He then wastes time, the oh so valuable commodity, by asking me why I'm late. If I told him, I doubt his anger would allow him to listen. And so it continues. Late coming into the station, the standing load, eager to alight, but slow to accomplish the deed. For my next trip, my last journey, more angry faces line up and wait, ready to complain, ready to question about return times or just why I am late leaving the station. The knock-on effect actualises the law of cumulative lateness. Once a bus is late, it can only become later still. Those 20 minutes will not be made up. They will breed, incubated by fate. On a route that challenges the driver, the single-track roads press once. As headway is no longer maintained, as much as dismembered, press once. The oncoming tractor and trailer and the 100-yard reverse, press once. The driver out of his camper van comfort zone, the timid tourist puts a back wheel press once, halfway up a Cornish hedge, and nods in meek obeisance as I process by, press once. I feel the vein in my temple throb, protruding like a bell strip, press once. It keeps ringing but no one gets off, the snickering kids upstairs, pressing more than the prescribed once. Ask not for whom the bell tolls. Isn't it obvious as I fight the early evening traffic departing the beach at Porthcurno, or the afternoon performance at the Minack Theatre, I push like some kind of matinee idol against a pouring tide of humanity. Each car a canned concentrate of a laughing theatre audience as I press on. At the hairpin bend overlooking Treen Village, he waits once more, this time in a black cloak, a hood cowling his imagined features. Now the timepiece is made of glass and sand. His scythe gleams with certainty as it arcs out like a great metal crutch. My time has come. Death waits for me. I am compelled to bring the bus to a halt, even though it is not an official request stop. Opening the doors for the last time, I take comfort from the good book, the bus driver's manual on greeting a passenger. I turn to face him and make eye contact to show I'm genuinely interested in what he is saying. You're just tired, says Death. I make sure I listen carefully to what he is saying and do my best to give a clear and concise answer. Fuck, I say. I keep my facial expression friendly, open and clear, remembering to keep my hands away from my face when listening and responding using a steady and moderate tone of voice. Any chance of a game of chess? Do you even play, says Death. Dominoes? Highest double goes first? He shakes his head. Those things only happen in films. His final words. So much better than mine. I am willing to smile readily if it was appropriate to do so. Remembering Bob Monkhouse's gag, his wish to die like his father, peacefully in his sleep, not screaming and terrified like his passengers, will be meeting their own version of death. Oh, sorry, the passengers who, as I fly over their hairpin's edge, will be meeting their own version of death. The passengers who will never reach the Minack. Not the monk's house, this Minack, but a stony place, a hard place. I look around for the rock. Underground, now in a wooden box, reaching my destination blind to what lies ahead, if anything, I present my final waybill. I am the late bus driver, having arrived at the terminus. Mortem omnibus nobi venit, which means death comes for us all, by bus I think. I take hold of the brass handle overhead and the letters on the stone 6 feet above turn through the various destinations. Birth, childhood, learning, love, family, hope, until they stop at, sorry, I'm not in service. Can I just say, I'm appearing at the Acorn Cabaret Bar on Saturday at 4:30. The Acorn Cabaret Bar, of course, sounds like something you could buy in a vegan sweet shop. But, yeah, if you liked it, tell your friends.